Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spar&Brawl. Hope you're having a decent day. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Sam, and we're back with another Afghanistan brief. And so, with the latest news concerning the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. So, Sam, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, there has been quite a lot of development as expected regarding Afghanistan, both internally and internationally. So I'm going to start with some internal developments that will lead to the sort of, I think, international news as well. Taliban announced their caretaker government, I suppose, with the leadership of Hassan Akhund. Hassan Akhund will become he's called the boss of ministers, which is a traditional old Iranian Arabic sort of title, which equivalent of a prime minister or a chancellor. He has taken that position, and Abdul Ghani brother will be his first deputy, and Abdul Salam Hanafi will be his second deputy. Reports are that Hassan Akhund he comes from a more sort of a military wing, and he's respected in those aspects. So I mean, that's the thing. Again, I really want to emphasize the fact that Taliban, the day they conquered Kabul, pretty much the old Taliban ended, because the thing that was keeping them together was their hatred for America and uh, the American backed government. So now they are really trying to this is really a coalition from within Taliban, and who knows how long it will last. But they announced their caretaker government. They also announced that from now on they will legally react to any unlicensed protest, and so far majority of protests have been women protests who've called for, they don't want the government to sort of, because now is the time that they're going to set the constitution or the framework or whatever, and they don't want to forget half of the country pretty much. So they said that's not a very good sign. Now let's get sort of, we are now moving towards international news of the thing. Ashraf Ghani, the former president of the Afghanistan, who is residing in UAE, who ran away allegedly, according to one of his own former ambassadors, with more than $150 million. He spoke to the media, and he said he's ready for any kind of investigation into his finances, and he said that he had to leave to avoid bloodshed in the city, and he left at the request of the security personnel of the citadel, the presidential citadel where he was residing. Which again, by the way, I mean, this, okay, 150 million, I hope there's an independent inquiry, although I doubt when you go from Afghanistan to, I believe they went to Tajikistan first and then to UAE. I mean, I don't know. I mean, just money laundering is so easy in countries like these, and that type of thing. So, but if there is an independent inquiry and it's done by a genuine accountant and he's cleared, fair enough. To be honest, I don't begrudge him trying to save his own life. That's just, that's part of, I mean, that's one thing I can, I mean, all his corruption besides and all that, if he had stayed, they would have probably, made quite a big example of him. Because even if you recall, even during negotiations with the US, one of the big contentions points was that Taliban kept saying that guy has to go. The Ashraf Ghani has to go, like, because he's just so hated by them and
I see,
everybody else
but
pretty much.
but others who stayed back, others who kind of stayed back. I mean, you've mentioned others who
There
were
is
high
a
in
big,
the government who
there
stayed
is a
back, right? And nothing really
yes, yes.
happened to them.
Not so far. In
Yeah.
fact, one of them, even Ismail Khan, was transported to Iran safely, it seems. But I would say there is Hamid Karzai and Abdullah. There is a begrudging respect, or at least understanding, that these are not fully
Hmm.
American-backed puppets. Ashraf Ghani was genuinely like he had no, he was nothing. Like he was, and he was so corrupt and all that. So, I mean, I think the Taliban even understand. By the way,
Yeah.
the nuance that sometimes is missed on the left as well as on the right,
Mm.
that everybody has to work with US sometimes, and
Yeah.
it's just it's the way the world is and all that. So yeah, I think Ashraf Ghani, if he stayed, they would have probably killed him. So, I mean, I'm not justifying anything about him. I'm just saying, okay, fair enough. That who wouldn't have done that? Whatever. Interestingly, you had there was this guy who was called. This is, by the way, another set of news. Sami Sadat. He was sort of a leader of a resistance. He was a commander in the Afghan army in Lashkargah, a city. And during when Taliban was taking over everywhere, during that 2 days that they were putting up the resistance, every news media in the West were killing themselves. This young Afghan hero is trying to fight Taliban. And by the way, between like 6 hours, the place he was fighting from fell and all that. And he wrote a New York op-ed and all that, and that's fine. It's fine. But the interesting thing is now the news is coming out that he has basically on the way out, as they were being defeated by Taliban, they were committing war crimes using Black Hawk helicopters, I believe, to attack houses at random.
Jesus.
Uh, it's awful stuff. There are a couple of eyewitness accounts. One of them including somebody whose child has been murdered. So just yeah, Sami Sadat, interesting character. But hopefully there will be investigation into anything like that, because this guy's I mean, he was he was not he was somebody who studied, I believe, in Britain as well and stuff. So I'm hoping he can be brought to justice in one legal system or another. And yeah, so any questions regarding the internal stuff? I can focus more on some international comments now.
No, nothing. Continue.
All right. So Iran, first of all, I mean, I can't believe the news I read, because everywhere you kind of read that Taliban is sort of going towards China, Iran, and Russia, while reality to me seems completely different. Iran issued strong warnings against any foreign intervention in Afghanistan, following reports that Pakistani may have helped Talib forces in takeover of Panjshir. So Iran issued that warning. You also had China, who welcomed the end of 3 weeks of chaos in Afghanistan and welcomed the Taliban announcing a government. And they said that they will have a $31 billion package, urgent help. They will have that ready, which
31 billion or million?
Yes, billion. $1 billion.
Wow, that doesn't sound like an urgent package.
I would read the specific line,
Yeah.
but I'm reading it from a Persian source. So
yeah, no.
yeah,
I mean,
they also criticize obviously US's US's hurried and unplanned exit from Afghanistan, which is like if you're a Chinese press secretary or American press secretary,
Yeah.
and you don't criticize the other, it's like just can't happen. But anyway,
but that's an interesting sum. I mean, that goes beyond some kind of like humanitarian aid or something, I mean,
it is. And yeah, I think Chinese know, unlike most analysts or I don't think they're analysts, most writers for newspapers, they know that America is in such a better position to have Taliban become their ally. And right now,
why would you say that?
Because of connections through Pakistan's, because of old connections, because of the fact that, to be honest, America has had money in the past, has money, sorry, in way more liquidity than Chinese. And because I mean, Saudis are not right now very on good terms with Taliban and all that, but there is far more ideological basis for
Mm-hmm.
cooperation there than with
True.
Chinese and all that.
And also, I mean,
So,
the Americans have good control over the Europeans also. So I guess
sure, sure,
if
sure.
there's
Yeah,
anything to leverage there, if there is, I'm not too sure.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean that's
Yeah.
full control, I would say. No, but
Yeah.
I would say like like the instant winner right now, it seems to be Pakistan,
Mm-hmm.
because and
For
everybody
sure.
seems to acknowledge that. And Pakistan is, I mean, ISIS, I think, the security forces for Pakistan and Pakistani military. They have for many years, I mean, since the Cold War, they've been considered sort of complete American owned and American,
Mm-hmm.
very close to America. You know, it's like a branch of, I mean, I'm exaggerating, obviously. I mean, there is a level of independence and all that. But so it's not a, I mean, so I think easily Taliban could easily go back to US's arms. And in many ways, geopolitically, it could be in US's benefit. So I think
But
that's why
yeah.
Chinese are acting so fast.
And the main reason that you say that Pakistan is the main winner is especially because India was backing the previous government like very
No, no,
strongly, right?
no,
Is that why?
because no, even before that, I mean, I think a lot of Afghanis think, and to an extent, it's true that there are elements in Pakistan that want Afghanistan to be annexed, pretty
Mm,
much, to their country or and stuff. And besides, besides Taliban, a lot of them view Taliban and all that growing out of madrasas in Pakistan, funded largely by Saudi and all that, and they so they see Taliban as a sort of a foreign thing. But I mean, look, the thing is, because there was Afghanistan had such a little time as a centralized nation. All I'm telling you is just one group, very small group of. It's just all Afghanistan is all these different
yeah.
small groups. So I can't tell you like what everybody thinks. Or I mean, Taliban obviously themselves are Afghanistanis, and because they have that
Mhm.
ideological or
Yeah.
sort of support and connection with Pakistan. They feel like, I mean, they're allies. Of course, they don't feel like they're tools of Pakistan, but other
Yeah.
people say they are. So, I mean, yeah.
It's interesting that you
But it
pointed
goes
out
way
that
beyond. I
Taliban is
mean,
from Afghanistan. That gets forgotten sometimes. Sorry, go ahead.
people. Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, the thing is, they come from the mountain range that
Yeah.
is. You want to call that? I mean, the borders there is just so new and so I mean, anyway, these people like Herat was part of Iran until 1870s. It's ridiculous. The
Hmm.
whole thing is just these nations are very young. But I would say, yeah, yeah, the reason why India started supporting Ashraf Ghani and stuff was as a sort of way to get to Pakistan. But way before that, Pakistan was already, um, having operations in Afghanistan and all that. So yeah. And oh, sorry, I just forgot about the other international leaders. Oh, besides, I was going to continue. That's why Chinese are acting so fast. And then, just as a sort of, I think, signs that I think I might be right, you had further news that Taliban allows further Americans and other foreigners to fly out of Kabul every day. Sort of, you hear that pretty much every day. It's in Wall Street Journal, different news stories, and you also had this news story. US-led meeting to, this is from The Guardian, US-led meeting to set out framework for Taliban cooperations, talks involving up to 20 nations. So, I don't think, there is going to be, America is not just running away, and there's not going to be any relations with Taliban and stuff. And yeah, they're going to reproach and all that. So there's, there's all that going on as well. I think Michael Moore also pointed out in an interview recently that, for example, none of the flights going out of
Hmm.
Afghanistan have been shut down by Taliban forces and all that. So,
Yeah. I
we'll
mean, I was
see
going to
how
add to that.
situation will develop.
Yeah, so we're actually going to talk about that Michael Moore interview. He was interviewed by TYT in our Progressive World episode, and that's going to be uploaded today as well. But yeah, and the Taliban, I mean, they were having peace talks and negotiations and all that with the Americans before this happened. I guess Trump had apparently invited them to Mar-a-Lago or the White House or something, and they said no, and they had
Did he
reached.
Mar-a-Lago?
I believe so. Don't quote me. Don't quote me. And I believe he had. I mean, they
I
had
know, but I
also
would love it.
reached. Yeah. He's like, forget
It's
about the
this
White House.
great
Come here.
set
It's
of.
much better.
Have you heard of Trump Towers?
Yeah. And then also, I guess apparently they had reached that deal that the Taliban wouldn't kill any Americans over the past year. So
Year and a
they're
half.
definitely
For the last
talking
3
and
years.
negotiating and everything. Yeah. But nice. Yeah. Very good stuff.
Yeah,
Anything
no,
else on Afghanistan?
no, thanks. No, thank you for watching.
Brilliant. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you.